It's Game 6 of the 2022 NBA Finals. The Boston Celtics crowd is roaring, desperate to push the series to a Game 7, but Steph Curry quiets the entire arena with one shot. A deep three, right over a defender, splashes through the net. Then Curry does something that only he could pull off. He points directly to his ring finger midway through the third quarter, as if to tell the crowd, "Go ahead and hand me that championship already." That single gesture wasn't arrogance. It was a statement, a declaration that the dynasty people buried years earlier was still alive. And at the center of it all was Steph Curry, a man who had been doubted, dismissed, and disrespected for years. But this moment, was about to cement his legacy forever. To understand how Curry ended up in this moment, you need to go back to 2019. Golden State was at the top of the NBA world. They were chasing their third straight championship, looking unstoppable with Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Curry all in their primes. But in the finals against the Toronto Raptors, everything collapsed. Durant went down with a devastating Achilles injury. Klay tore his ACL. Curry was left alone to carry the Warriors. For years, critics had whispered that Steph couldn't win without help, that he needed KD, or that his game didn't hold up when the lights were brightest. And in 2019, those voices got louder. Without his star teammates, Curry fell short. The Raptors won the championship, and the narrative was set. The Warriors' dynasty was dead. Durant left that summer. Klay faced a long recovery, and suddenly, the NBA had moved on. The Warriors' reign was over, or at least that's what everyone thought. If 2019 was heartbreak, 2020 was humiliation. The season began with Klay sidelined, still recovering from his ACL tear. Then, just 5 games into the season, disaster struck again. Curry broke his hand on a hard fall, forcing him to miss nearly the entire year. Without their 2 stars, Golden State crumbled. They went from a 57-win powerhouse in 2019 to just 15 wins in 2020. The worst record in the NBA. The dynasty wasn't just over, it had been buried 6 feet under. The roster looked unrecognizable. D'Angelo Russell, Eric Paschall, and a revolving door of role players tried to fill the void, but nothing worked. The team couldn't defend, couldn't score, and couldn't win. For a franchise used to parades and finals appearances, 2020 was a gut punch. And yet, in the middle of the rubble, a question lingered. If Steph came back healthy, could the dynasty rise again? By 2021, there was hope. At least a little. Curry was back. But before the season even started, tragedy struck again. Klay tore his Achilles during a workout, ending his season before it began. For the second straight year, Golden State would have to fight without one half of the Splash Brothers. And yet, Curry refused to fold. At 33 years old, he delivered one of the best seasons of his career. He led the NBA in scoring, averaging 32 points per game while shooting 42% from 3 on ridiculous volume. Night after night, he carried the Warriors with dazzling performances, dropping 62 points on Portland, burying teams with flurries of threes, and reminding the world that the baby-faced assassin wasn't going anywhere. But the NBA is a team game, and Curry couldn't do it alone. Golden State finished with a 39-33 record, barely sneaking into the play-in tournament. They lost to the Lakers, then fell to Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. Curry's brilliance wasn't enough to drag them into the playoffs. For many, that was proof that his MVP runs were flashy but empty, proof that he needed overwhelming talent around him to win big. The dynasty? Still dead, or so it seemed. The Warriors' front office had been patient. They knew Curry still had years left in his prime. All they needed was the right mix of veterans, young talent, and health. In the 2021 offseason, they made crucial moves. They drafted Jonathan Kuminga, an athletic forward with star potential, and Moses Moody, a sharpshooting wing. They signed veterans like Otto Porter Jr., Nemanja Bjelica, and brought back Finals MVP Andre Iguodala for leadership. Most importantly, Klay Thompson was finally back. After 941 days without playing, Klay returned in January 2022. He wasn't the exact same player, but his shooting and defense gave Golden State the missing piece they had been waiting for. Andrew Wiggins took a leap, embracing his role as a two-way wing. Jordan Poole exploded into one of the league's best young scorers. Suddenly, the Warriors didn't just look competitive, they looked dangerous. They finished the season 53-29. good for the third seed in the West. Curry broke Ray Allen's all-time three-point record, solidifying his status as the greatest shooter in history, and whispers began to grow louder. Maybe the dynasty wasn't dead after all. The postseason would put that theory to the test. Round 1. Nuggets. Golden State faced Nikola Jokic, the reigning MVP, who was putting up historic numbers. But without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., Denver was outmatched. Curry, Poole, and Clay overwhelmed the Nuggets, finishing the series in 5 games. Round 2. Grizzlies. The young, hungry Memphis Grizzlies had swagger, grit, and Jay Morant playing like a superstar. The series was physical, chippy, and intense. Memphis even tied the series 1-1 after Jay dropped 47 points. But in Game 3, Morant suffered a knee injury that sidelined him. Without their leader, Memphis couldn't keep up. Golden State won in 6, but not without a fight. Conference Finals. Mavericks. After Luka Doncic dismantled the Phoenix Suns, some wondered if he could do the same to the Warriors. But Golden State was unfazed. They blitzed Luka with defense, moved the ball with precision, and handled the Mavericks with ease, winning in 5 games. After 2 years of doubt, Golden State was back in the finals. Their opponent, the Boston Celtics. Boston had been knocking on the door for years. The duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown had made multiple deep playoff runs but always came up short. In 2022, everything finally clicked. They swept Kevin Durant and the Nets in the first round. They survived a grueling 7-game battle against Giannis and the Bucks, and they outlasted Jimmy Butler and the Heat in another 7-game war. The Celtics were tough, young, and battle-tested. For Boston, this was their moment, the chance to finally raise Banner 18. For Golden State, it was the chance to remind the world the dynasty still belonged to them. Game 1. Celtics strike first. Curry came out on fire, scoring 21 points in the first quarter alone. But Boston stormed back with a 40-point fourth quarter, stealing the opener on the road. Doubters immediately resurfaced. The Celtics are too young, too deep, too strong. Game 2. Warriors respond. Golden State unleashed a 35-14 third quarter run, blowing the game open. Curry dropped 29, and Draymond's defense suffocated Boston. Series tied 1-1. Game 3. Boston pushes ahead. Back at TD Garden, Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart dominated. The Celtics controlled the game from start to finish, taking a 2-1 lead. The Warriors looked vulnerable, on the brink of collapse. Game 4. This was the turning point. With the dynasty's future hanging in the balance, Curry delivered one of the greatest finals performances ever. 43 points, 10 rebounds, 7 threes. He silenced the Boston crowd, tied the series, and sent a message. The Warriors weren't done. Game 5. Curry had a rare off night, but Andrew Wiggins rose to the occasion. He scored 26 points, grabbed 13 rebounds, and locked up Tatum defensively. Golden State took a 3-2 lead, one win from the title. Game 6. Boston started hot, going up 14-2. But Golden State answered with a 21-0 run, flipping the script. Curry finished with 34 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and the iconic ring finger gesture. The Warriors won 103-90. The dynasty was back on top. For Curry, the 2022 Finals was more than just another championship. It was validation. For years, critics had said he couldn't win without Kevin Durant, that he wasn't a true Finals MVP, that his style of play wasn't sustainable under pressure. In 2022, he answered every single one of those doubts. He averaged 31 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists for the series, shooting 43% from 3. He won his first Finals MVP, he secured his 4th championship, and he cemented his place not just as the greatest shooter ever, but as one of the greatest players in NBA history. From the depths of a 15-win season to the heights of another championship, Curry's journey was a story of resilience, of refusing to let doubters write his ending, of proving once and for all that his greatness stood on its own. The 2022 Finals didn't just resurrect a dynasty, it immortalized Steph Curry's legacy. And while he raised his finger for a 4th ring that night in Boston, the question now lingers. How many more times will Steph Curry point to that ring finger before he's done?